The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 14th day of February 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Simone Vaughn, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Simone, this is your first time co-hosting on the show. Like, how does it feel?
Yes. It feels like just talking with friends. I'm very excited to do this today. And, I hope we have a great show and a great conversation.
Talking with friends, it's interesting because it's claimed that I don't like people. It's a lie. It's a rumor. And so I'm glad that you said that. Oh, they call me grumpy, all types of names. I mean,
what?
Yeah,
I would never believe them.
You wouldn't believe that. Your sarcasm, I appreciate it. We got David Michael Wilson. He says, happy love day and happy Friday, and a happy love day and Friday to you as well. And Karen Simmons says, happy fantastic Friday, TDH. Welcome, Simone. Yeah, welcome, Simone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to have her. And folks, this is on the spin. We're very, transparent. So it's on the spin. She didn't know she was co-hosting until about 5 minutes ago. All right. So
yeah,
we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna have fun. Look, we're one day closer to the general election. We're gonna have some fun. We're not gonna get away from the themes of how we do this show. So greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome independent candidate for constituency 31. Juanae Crockwell onto the show. I'm looking forward to, I found it so strange when I was talking to her prior to the show. I'm like, I think we've been connected on social media for a number of years. I've always seen her, speaking out on things and so on, but I had never, ever engaged with her. I had a conversation, which I just found so strange because she's one of those, people that's always done admirable things. And you're like, wow, I like this person. So, happy to have her on the show. I'm really, really happy to engage and get an idea and an understanding of her political plans going forward. The Daily Place, Simone, on Fridays we do things you should know. Yeah, so you seem like a pretty brilliant person. I think you might be okay.
Yeah, and it's always good to learn something new if you don't know it.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
stay positive.
I'm always in a boat where I'm learning something new. Yeah, I'll say that much. But don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Well, folks, it's Friday Fun Day. It's Friday Fun Day. And a good Tiffany Painter says, good morning, TDH. Looking forward to hearing Juanae. And we've got Michelle White says, happy love day, TDH community. You know what? Before we get into the show, got some notes on my whiteboard here. So note number one, you all, I'm just saying, I'm not big on Valentine's Day. I'm a brother that, shows love throughout the year. But if this is your thing, fellas, hear me out. Because I'm not Cupid or stupid or whoever, no love doctor. I'm none of that stuff. But I was in Target yesterday. I don't know if Bermuda's like this, but flowers were 50 to 75% off. You feel me? Fellas, get there. You don't have any excuse. Even if it's like somebody that you like or have an interest in, and you know they single, because I'm not trying to get anybody into any domestics. Go check it out. What do you think, Simone?
You know why I think Target had those flowers for Target, excuse me.
Oh yeah, sorry.
For 50 to 70% off.
Oh.
It's been on social media that people have been boycotting Target, and maybe this is an incentive for shoppers to come back to their stores.
Oh,
food for thought.
You know what, folks? I actually forgot about the boycott. I honestly did. I was just driving home, minding my business, and I said, well, let me stop in Target. And I'm like, oh, 70, 57% off. Let me, But I was just trying to help somebody. Now, you could go to Walmart or any other place and see if they got these discounts. If they don't, you could break the boycott for a day. Just don't tell nobody where you got them from. All right.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Social Justice Bermuda. They showed up yesterday. If you don't know what I'm talking about, all I'm going to say, Social Justice Bermuda. I don't plan on running in politics ever. And y'all could clip what I say. But let's say I was forced into politics one day, like it would have to be forced. I stand by what I say. Because they went back, man. They got some 2013 comments. They got some 2025, 2022. Like, folks, here's the lesson from what Social Justice Bermuda did yesterday. There's a lesson here. If you have plans to be politically involved, please understand that everything you say and do can and will likely be used against you. I'll leave it at that. But
bang the gavel.
Social Justice Bermuda, in truth, though, people can change. How I feel today might be very different from how I feel tomorrow based on information and just life changes. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Social Justice Bermuda over on the gram. All right, let's get into today's conversation, folks. It's the Daily Discussion brought to you by our friends at, well, let's just play it for you.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, welcome back. Well, it is Friday Fun Day brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes. If you ship anything to Bermuda, you go to mailboxes.bm/thedailyhour. You can get 2 free years of membership. So go check that out, our friends over at Mailboxes. And folks, here's your question of the morning. It is Friday Fun Day, so we have something a bit fun away from politics before we bring Madam Crockwell on. This should be fun now. What are some of the most romantic things to do in Bermuda in honor of Love Day? What are some of the most romantic things to do in Bermuda? What would you say? Like, can I go first? I'm not much of a romance guy, but I would say watching the sunset up on the southwest part of the island is probably, I don't know if that's considered romantic, but it's a cool thing to do with somebody you're really into.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty nice. I've done so as well.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Wait.
I'm not getting in your pocket. I just, she's,
Yes, with friends and family, it's a nice outing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you, if someone said to you, hey, Simone, I'm looking for something to do that's nice, romantic, in Bermuda, like, what would you tell them?
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. I would say go to a nice dimly lit restaurant, or if it was a little warmer that day, it's going to be a little cool today, but if it's a little warmer, I saw on Instagram, this place has these floating baskets for like pools, or you can do it in a hot tub when like you have these hearts and it's an elaborate meal, or breakfast or lunch. And it was so cute. And I was like, oh, if I ever enter that arena, that would be nice, I would think, to have done for you for Love Day. Also, I'm going to the spa for a little self-care day, so I see that as romantic. And I think there's probably a lot of other things you can do, but those are the ones that come to the top of my head right now.
Okay, spa sounds cool as well. So Simone just helped you all out. What else, audience? What do you have? Like, what would you consider if someone came to you? Let's just say someone who was visiting Bermuda. They said, you know what? I want to go to Bermuda for a romantic weekend. What would we say? What would we tell them? Like, what are some of the most romantic things to do? I like that. What was the spa at the hotel people used to always go to? It was a spa at Southampton Hotel. What was it called? Not Willow something. What was it called? Audience, come on, you guys know.
I don't know, but I think I went there.
Dang, they got the nice pool out there. Dang, what was it called, folks? That you're gonna make me Google the spa at Southampton Hotel. That was romantic. All right, let's go to the audience while we wait on someone to help. Willow Street. I said Willow something. I was thinking Willow Bank, but that's the hotel. Willow Stream. Thank you, Emily Gildill. Willow Stream. Renee Simmons said Willow Stream. Yes, that was a nice one. All right, so we've got David Michael Wilson says, watching the sunset while atop of the lighthouse, followed by a picnic dinner on the beach. Okay.
Oh, that's nice. I approve.
Yeah, I wonder if that has that 50 to 75% off sale that Target was having.
Oh.
Look, love can be done on a budget, right? Karen,
it can.
Walking along the coastline railway trail at sunset or sunrise.
Oh, that's good. That's a good walking trail.
Are we holding hands or not? Like, or is it just? I mean, holding hands makes it more.
I guess, yeah. But if you walk at different paces, it can, get a little tricky.
Yeah, I've been known to walk ahead. Karen Simmons says, couples massage in the caves.
Oh.
Doesn't get better than that. Now, I've never been down to Grotto Bay to get a spa. Like, how is that treatment? Like, I'd want to know, like, how is that? I've always, I'm going for a little spa day myself today. Simone and I just great minds thinking alike, but I've never done it in the cave. It just seems outdoorsy, right? I don't know.
Well, I guess with like the stone, what's this, stalactites and the stalagmites, it adds a little crystallized effect, sets the mood, the water reflecting. I can see it. Okay.
All right, audience, this is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Secure Trucking, as well as Titan Tours. And hey, you're looking to get around Bermuda, reach out to Titan Tours. And if you're got some trucking needs, I believe they're going to be offering services to pick up trash. Check them out. Also, friends over at Mailboxes, Friday Fun Day is brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes. Don't forget, you can get 2 years of free membership. Just go to mailboxes.bm/the Daily Hour. So what are some of the most romantic things to do in Bermuda? Sean Smith says, rent the RV at Ascot Park. Would you do that, Simone? The RV?
I think I would. Have a nice little getaway.
Okay.
I'm not away from home.
I think it's cool. I'm not
the camping vibe.
Right. I'm not a camper, but I might try it. Yeah.
Because otherwise, I would just book a hotel room.
That's who I am. That's who I am.
Room service,
picnic, lunch, dinner on the seaside, or a special place with a good view, even if it's cold. Just stay, eat in the car.
That's very intimate. I like that.
Okay. We've got Graham Smith. He says, going fishing off the rocks at night together.
Oh, you're just like my brother.
Yeah. That's what's up. That was my pastime. Here's the only challenge. And folks, I've said this on the show many years ago and you all judge me, but I hope we've matured now. No judgment. But if whatever lady I decide to take fishing with me, part of the agreement, I'll catch the fish, but you have to touch them and take them off the line.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good compromise.
Right. See, years ago, we've matured as people now, but years ago they came down hard on me. Henley and Swan says, having a picnic with wine, crackers, and cheese in Tom Moore's Tavern.
Oh.
You been down that area?
Not recently, no.
Yeah, I haven't been down there in many years, but it's a nice little area. Takes you out to Blue Hill Hillside over in the park, and that's pretty cool.
That's nice. So I like a charcuterie board, so I approve that one too.
Right. See, I used to love cheese. I miss a little charcuterie board, but your boy don't do the direct dairy anymore. So
Oh, poor you.
yeah. Just by choice. I might hit it again one day. Michelle White says couples simply need to find quiet time to be in each other's space away from life's noise. Yeah.
That's nice.
Chantel Painter says private dining experience in the kitchen of a restaurant.
Oh.
You know what? Where do they do that in Bermuda? Like a private dining experience in the kitchen? Where do they do that? That is actually something I consider very romantic.
I actually have no idea. I would like to find out though for future to have in my notes, for future.
For the future, she said, folks.
Yes.
Emily Gildill says couples massage in the spa at Grotto Bay, which is on a cave with the rooms on pontoons in water. The best. I gotta try this Grotto Bay. I have to.
Yeah, maybe something next year.
Yeah. Audience, let us know. Has anyone in the audience done Grotto Bay? Have you experienced it before, and what was it like? Karen Simmons says, of course, holding hands, Jamal. The cave's water is calming, aroma sense, and soft. She's saying when I asked if we're taking a walk on the trail, like if you and your person taking a walk on the trail, are you holding hands? And she said, of course. Kenton Trott says, taking the day off to sleep, relax, and watch movies together. You know what? That's probably one of the most romantic things to me, just staying at home and doing nothing. That's what this song likes to me. That's cool. It doesn't always have to be going out and spending money and the like, just
Sounds
staying,
like
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Kristen White, she says, how is that a good compromise, Jamal? LOL. Jamal is afraid to touch the fish. See, I thought we had matured past like confusing me about that. This is something that Teo would hang on to. Come on now. We got Emily Gilder says private dinner on the beach at Cambridge Beaches. I heard that's one of the most beautiful spots because the sun, you can see the sun setting over there. Kenton Trott said, I did a couples massage with my wife at Grotto Bay Caves, and it was okay. Might have to try that. We'll say Suzanne Ingham said, okay, Jamal, not a date, but I'll take them off the hook. That's the easy part. You can cook and eat them. I'll even wash the dishes first. No date, no no romance. She's clarifying that. We've got Renee. Yes, it's a nice, wonderful. It's nice, wonderful. Only I kept thinking of some creature emerging from the grotto. They don't have creatures in the caves, do they?
No, but there's enough horror movies to prove you otherwise.
No, I take her point. Well, you know what? We're going to bring Teo Dillon. Before we bring Teo in, I want to ask everyone, if you had the chance, well, you do have the chance, who do you want to send love to today? Who's someone that you want to send love to today? It can be a brother, a sister, your child, your politician. I know, that's probably not likely, but you get me. Someone like a business partner, your favorite store. Who would you like to send love to today? Who's someone or a group or people? Who do you want to send something? It could be your dog. Who do you want to send love to today, audience? Let us know. Samantha, you want to go first?
Yes, I'll go first. Okay. I would send love to my whole family, my mom, my dad, my siblings, aunties, uncles, grandparents, everybody. Everybody gets some love. You get love, everybody gets love.
Okay, all right. See, she's going home to a happy house. She's not upsetting anybody. She said everybody, right? I think the same. I always, my face lights up and my nieces, I see them on video. So love to them, even though like they see me and they just look at me sometimes. They don't really say much, like just, oh, so he's still real, right? But that thing. But I want to send love today to everybody who continues to support this show as well. whether it's our sponsor partners, whether it's just those in the audience who continue to engage with us. And also, I want to send a lot of love to those who continue to trust our platform. And that's the people who come on as guests. I send you love. Like, it's because of you all, the audience, the guests, our partners and sponsors, that we do this. And also send up an abundance of love to everyone who's a host, co-host, news person, producer in the background, persons who make sure we get paid to do this. I want to send love. It's a lot that goes into this. So sending all of you love today. Audience, anyone you want to send love to, come on, give it to us. Suzanne Ingham says, my sons and grands, I'll send love to TDH. You all are awesome. Yeah, we appreciate you, she said. You are all awesome. We appreciate you. Anybody else want to send love? I mean, man, you're not feeling very loving today, audience. You know, I mean, you know what it is? I think some people are waiting until tonight. They're trying to see what they get first.
Oh, like a give and take kind of thing.
I'm not sending love this early. I might be upset later on. Nope, I'm not doing that. But you know what? Let's give thanks to our partners, Titan and Secure. And also just want to send love to Mailboxes. This is Friday Fun Day brought to you by Mailboxes. Again, go to mailboxes.bm/the Daily Hour for 2 free years of membership, and to Titan and Secure.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, folks. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring Teo Dillon for today's news break. After that, we have Juanae Crockwell coming up. Really looking forward to this conversation. She, like Tiffany Painter, who's been on as an independent. We had Justin Matthias as an independent. We've had Susie Aruda, another independent. Independents, they are here, folks, and it doesn't look like they're just here for the moment. So looking forward to a conversation with another independent candidate. So don't go anywhere. In the meantime, while we bring Teo in, if you just tuned in or you've been tuned in from jump, make sure you do us that big favor, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Twitter, or Instagram. Give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Let's make sure that as many people as we know have access to these important community conversations as necessary. Let's bring Teo Dillon for the Daily Hour News Break.
Morning, fam. Happy Valentine's Day. Very, 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 very happy to see Simone up here doing her thing. Looks dope, feels right.
Hey, Tay. What? You know what? What's that smirk on your face? Like you came on this morning with this smirk, like I said something that you want to get back at me for or something. What do you know you?
But no, I apologize because I can't be fully transparent about this because it was a little of the behind the scenes conversation we were having. Oh, no. And I just been reminiscing about that. It was dialogue between Jay and one of our women colleagues at the time, and it went a little sideways because Jay is Jay, and I really wish I could. Oh man. Look, let me just do the news, all right? This is inside baseball.
I'm gonna make it short.
Pleads the fifth.
I'm gonna make it short for you folks. Teo thinks that I have problems with my height and I'm vertically challenged, and this colleague was much taller than me, and I said something, and that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, he said something horrible, and then was confused by her response.
I mean, nobody told to be told. Anyway, sorry. All
right, speaking of transparency, right? Complete financial transparency from all aspiring parliamentarians is essential, but getting paid by the government should not disqualify anybody from public service. This from former One Bermuda Alliance chairman and senator and new independent candidate for Warwick Northeast, Justin Matthias, during his great conversation with our very own Jamel on yesterday's episode of TDH.
People should be able to apply and have government contracts, right? We have a free market economy.
Mhm.
And if people want to provide services to the government in any capacity, whether it's working directly for what I call the small government, which is the lowercase government, or the big uppercase government, then all you need is transparency and full disclosure. And I think everything is fine.
I agree.
Simone, how did that hit you? Because to be honest with you, I was a little surprised that just across the board from the audience and from Mr. Matthias and from Jay, just universally, the consensus was, yeah, it's fine for people to get paid by the government while either applying or setting government policy. I tend to agree that it's cool with transparency, but I didn't think it would be such a clear consensus on the issue.
I think transparency is always, a good thing, especially, like with finances. But I feel like there's definitely fine lines that can be crossed. And just to make sure, in those spaces that, nothing gets mangled.
I think the difficult part for it is transparency is just not what they want to tell us. Transparency is telling us the full details,
I see, like going all the way through it. Because the thing that I thought would sort of provoke some pushback was when we talk about the bad old days of sort of mid 20th century Bermudian government, when you had the large dominant monopoly business owners running government and issuing government contracts to themselves. Right. I mean, like on a really consistent basis. Now, you could argue they were the only business owners that could supply those services and goods, but it just feels funny for it to work that way. You know what I'm saying?
And that was my concern yesterday when we were discussing it. There are times where maybe this company is the only one that can provide this service in Bermuda, and they're politically, tied to this. But I just think people deserve to know. And I think that's the biggest problem I've noticed in politics in my life is the lack of transparency. Like, why do we have to ask questions to find out? Like, tell us before we have to ask.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Like proactive transparency.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of issues in I guess broader political life in Bermuda, Mr. Matthias went on to underline that the biggest problem that he's found on the doorstep as he's been out canvassing is just broad institutional distrust, which in his view leads directly to a larger problem, which is to say a breakdown in democracy.
Really fundamentally, what's really gone wrong is that people don't trust the system. So there is a lot of voter apathy. People don't want to come out to vote. Even if I'm providing a solution, and a lot of independents are providing the solution to say, hey, we're trying to bring back your voice. Yeah, but I don't know if that's going to work. And I don't think I'm going to come out. Because if I don't come out, then you guys know. No, that's not how that works. That's not how voting works. The only way that the PLP and the OBA will know how you want to be represented is if you vote. That's the only way. Staying home isn't doing anything for anybody. And that's the number one concern that I have is that people want to stay home.
So how does that hit? Because I've been thinking about it all night ever since I edited that thing up, that basically voter apathy leads to disengagement from democracy, which then leads to more disconnected government, which then leads to more voter apathy, which leads to more disengagement from democracy, and it just loops and loops and loops and loops. So I think his identification of the problem is correct, but I don't know if he's got any prescription for a solution.
Right. I think Susie Arruda said it best when she's on the show. Me, Tay, I was that guy who would say, well, I'm not going to vote. But I think the way she summed it up is, if you decide not to vote, you're allowing other people to make decisions for you. I think that's where I'm at with it is, again, I voted for the first time in a U.S. election in November. And, I may not have gotten the result that I voted for, but if I didn't vote, I would be like, I would feel some way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's where I'm at. Actually, Simone, how many elections have you voted in?
Here?
In Bermuda?
Altogether, I would say 2.
One in the U.S., one in Bermuda. But you've never voted in Bermuda, right?
No.
It's our first time.
This will be my first time, so I'm
Oh,
excited.
that's dope. Yeah. I'm telling you, like voting, if you think about it the right way, it feels really, really, really good. Even if you're frustrated with all the options, it's still like I am standing next to all of my countrymen and making my voice heard at the same level as everybody. The richest dude in the building, the poorest person in the building, and everybody in between. Like it's the ultimate civic engagement.
To put in perspective, voting in Bermuda is probably the easiest, and someone can attest to this. When I voted in Florida, I voted in Georgia. Voting in the U.S., you got to vote for like the water person. You got to vote for the sheriff. There's so many things on the ballot. And see me, I'm like, well, how the heck do I choose somebody to oversee our water system? I don't know about this person. And you kind of find out when that, like, they send you ballots in advance and so on. And I don't have time. So I think Bermudians don't understand how easy they have it. In terms of like, you just got one person to choose,
like every 4 years or so.
Yeah, and in the U.S., it's like it's so many different things, and we only because of national issues think of president or governor. But no, you've got decisions to make. Now there are some people who just vote along, like, oh, that's the D next to it or the R, whatever. They just do that. I can't afford to do that.
We also have bills and laws on it that's like yes or no.
Yep.
Or like the referendums, like the direct democracy stuff.
Yeah. I forget, like, it was a housing thing on like the Georgia thing. And I was like, I don't know about this. And you could not leave it blank. You couldn't X outside on the computer. You had to choose one. And so I don't know if I did the right thing or not.
Oh, man. That would keep me up at night, bro.
So I hit my brother up. Like, I hit my god brother up. I'm like, bro, like, this thing was on the ballot. Like, he said, look, bro, I didn't know either. Like, I hadn't been keeping up. But I'm saying that, Bermuda, honestly, I'm saying that to say, if you're thinking about not voting, you have it very easy to be involved in the political process. You don't have to study as much or learn as much.
That's a good way to put it. Now, with all that said, that last contribution from Mr. Mathias about like the breakdown in trust in institutions, which we can see is not just taking place here in Bermuda, but it's all across the developed world. It reminded me of this recent Sam Harris podcast episode that I'd watched featuring Yuval Noah Harari. He's this public intellectual and popular science writer that I thought his observations on this subject of institutional distrust are really cool. Like, he doesn't have a solution necessarily, but he's got a really clear diagnosis that is worth considering. I promise this is valuable.
One of the key problems I see today in the world is that you have an extremely cynical view of humans and of human societies spreading both on the right, but also on the left. They say that the only reality is power, that all social interactions, all human interactions are actually power struggles, that all human institutions are just conspiracies to gain power, that journalists, scientists, historians, judges, politicians, these are just conspiracies to gain power. Whenever somebody tells you something, you shouldn't ask, is it true? Because nobody cares about the truth. This is naive. They would tell you, no, this is a power play.
Who benefits?
Who benefits? Yeah. Whose privileges are being served? Whose interests are being served? And if you think like that, all trust collapses. And the only thing that is left standing, that can remain standing, is a dictatorship. This is not just extremely cynical. This is just wrong. People are not these power crazy demons.
Wow. Now think about it, right? Like, how much of public discourse has been centered around that foundational premise over the past decade plus, right? It doesn't matter what actually is. It's who does the truth serve? Correct. And if the truth serves one side that is the opposite of my side, then the truth be damned. I'm going to tell the opposite of the truth because that's in my interest or my political group's interest. And that is a legitimate public position to take. That's insane. Right?
There's some shifts taking place, and I don't know if they're in the best interest of all of humanity. And as I listen to him talk, I'm saying there's almost, you know how they say people are too far right or too far left? Tell me if I'm wrong in my feeling, but in my feeling, it seems like it's okay to be too far right, but if you're too far left, you're losing at this point.
Well, I mean, that's been the case for on this side of the planet. That's been the case for a couple since the 80s, really.
No, but it right now it's steep. Like for instance, like I saw someone put something about what about the 10% of those impacted by LGBT in Bermuda? Why isn't it in anyone's platform? And I'm like, because they saw what happened in the US. Like, let's be honest, LGBT issues have just been set back 60, 80 years under the direction the country is going. And that's not going to change because you all are looking at 4 years of Trump. This is not going to stop there because of the amount of momentum that movement has. I mean, President Musk, as Teo said yesterday, he literally hates anything that spells equitable solutions to humanity. So I don't see, I mean, being far right is the most acceptable thing it seems in society today. You just look and it's like they're not demonized anymore. They're not losing jobs anymore for things they were losing jobs for two years ago.
Yeah. Like Nazis. Like it's no longer socially acceptable to use Nazi as a critique.
No.
Like if you call somebody that is operating on like a racial hierarchy and thinks that women are necessarily second-class citizens and that all foreigners are terrible, and you're like you're sounding kind of like a Nazi. Oh, well, calm down, you woke snowflake. Like just it's just an alternative, legitimate point of view. I mean, really, But if you say anything about like equitable treatment of poor people, get out of here, communist. Look, what do you think you are, Chairman Mao? And it's like, why is there space for fascist adjacent political perspectives, and anything left of like Bernie Sanders is considered heresy? I mean, I know why. This has been the conservative, the American conservative movement's political project for 60 years now, just about. But it's frustrating that it's been this successful.
It's been, I was shocked how successful it's been in the US, but it's not just you look at Argentina and I think it's El Salvador and in Europe. I mean, it's taken over, and I think people really need to open their eyes to it. It's almost become cool to be far right and demon-like to be far left. I mean, that's just my opinion, folks. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that just seems like the reality at this point.
No, I think that's an accurate diagnosis. I got one quick one that's really important for a whole bunch of people on the island. Now, one of Bermuda's leading hospitality properties needs a bunch of new staff, which one of them could be you, and they're running a career fair to find these new employees. The Hamilton Princess and Beach Club's career event's running Thursday, February 27th from 11 to 2 in the Princess Ballroom to highlight a range of options they've got for jobs available across their property, from the spa to food and beverage, front office, culinary, housekeeping, and much, much more. All they're asking you to do is bring a printed copy of your current resume to the event. It's going down February 27th. It's a Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Princess Ballroom. And this is always a good look because there's a lot more available in hospitality than I think we generally realize. So hopefully it's well attended.
Indeed. How's the weather looking, Tay?
Relatively sunny and clear this morning, but a weak cold front. It'll be bringing some rain and wind our way this afternoon. Now, this weekend should settle down generally after that front gets out of here. But the most interesting weather detail for the next 48 hours are the air temps. This is really quite unusual. Today's is going to be 13 degrees, like between the low 70s and the high 50s, while tomorrow's going to squish all the way down to just 2 degrees. 61 is the high, 59 is the low. So tomorrow's going to be cool, basically. Hoodie up, keep yourself safe.
All righty, cool. Thank you for that. Real quickly, days of the year, it obviously is that thing day. Someone told me yesterday in the audience, and someone else said it, a side piece day, right? And I prefer, I didn't know that was a thing. And I'm like, no, it's Black Love Day. That's what we said yesterday on the show. I prefer Black Love over side piece. But anyway, yeah, Black Love's better than side piece, I think, Simone. I think.
Yeah, sure.
Taylor was rubbing his face. I don't know. Get the coach, Tay. But it's international.
No, don't do that to me now.
All right, bro. Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to slip one in. It's National Organ Donor Day. I don't know if people are organ donors or not, because when you do your license, you kind of circle it. But one of the things I realized, I'm about to start a trade war if something happened to me between Bermuda and the US, because on both of my licenses, I have that I'm a organ donor. So I think it might be a trade war for my organs if, yeah.
Well, if you could choose, where would you prefer your organs to go?
Bermuda, obviously.
I wonder if there's something you could do about that.
Yeah.
Because like if you died in the States now, the paperwork will say your organs should go there. Like, can you write on the form like, but send them to the island, please? Like don't
this conversation is going though. Like, if but no, I see your point. No, I just have to go change my license. Real quickly though, Teo. Something happened in the audience. I don't know what happened, but it looks like Teray Toll said, Charles, not a compulsory voting fan, an interest in development considering how many years disenfranchisement took. I don't know what he said. He said, I didn't always feel this way, but I feel like it's people's right to not vote. I say this with love, but I think this is a dangerous statement. Voting should never be compulsory. I didn't think our ancestors died for us to be forced to vote. They died for us to have the right to vote. There's a difference between the right to vote and forcing to vote. Now, Simone, I know you've done a documentary on voting in Southern Alabama. And here's my point. I don't think and this was my argument for years. It's important that when we fight the oppressor, we don't become the oppressed. And to me, it's an oppressive behavior when you basically believe that people should be forced to do something like vote. That is the right not to vote. The same way it is the right to have the opportunity. Now, you may disagree with them that they, about them not voting, but that's still their right. When we start to I have a big issue when people bring terms like compulsory or mandatory. Obviously, someone who fought conscription, but I think we're treading very dangerously, if I'm understanding her right, when we speak about that. You guys, anything to say on that?
Yes. Well, considering the conversation, far left or far right, if it's basically leading into that. If we become what we are fighting against, what is the point? That's what I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, there are like a handful of countries that have compulsory voting. I think Australia, where everyone is obligated to vote and you get fined if you don't. And I don't know that it'd be reasonable to characterize Australia, modern liberal democracy is anything but that. Now, that said, there aren't many spaces where that policy is in place. So, you can't do like an effective comparative analysis. Like, countries that have compulsory voting are more likely to X, and people with countries without it are more likely to Y. But I accept the premise on the principle of it. Like, it feels weird for the state to require that of its people.
That's ridiculous to me.
But see, I'm more of a utilitarian, which is to say the principle is less important to me than the outcomes, than the consequences of the choices that you make. And if it could be proven that higher democratic participation ends up in improved quality of life for the community that it serves, then 100%, like, go ahead. Everybody got to vote. Like, it's not even a debate for me, because the outcomes are more important than the principles that guide them for me.
I'm a
you would disagree with you, but that's okay.
I take the point, and it's no different from conscription. Many other countries had it, just like some countries have compulsory voting. That don't make it right just because others do it. I know Kristen White said that they, give them a day off. You can go and spoil your ballot. That's still taking away a person's freedom and right, and that's my point. Like, we cannot. I don't agree with it. I hope that's something that is never even on the minds of people. To make something. And I just want to end with this, because we've got, hopefully Juanae can stick around for a while with us. Rashida Godwin says, some of our ancestors in Bermuda didn't vote for a long time because they had been disenfranchised for so long and they already had successful and profitable businesses. Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to say this today, and I'll say it right up until election night coverage. There are many people, many in the Black race, who don't feel as if voting has changed their circumstance. Maybe true, maybe not. At the end of the day, I believe I agree with Susie Arruda, what she said. Not voting is giving other people the opportunity to make decisions for you. I understand it from that perspective. Personally, I didn't think I had two great choices to choose between for the U.S. presidency. But because of you all helping me understand what's at stake, I went and made well, I don't know if my vote counted, but you get my point. I participated in the process. I'm not here to tell anyone that I'm right and you're wrong. What I'm hoping is that the same way I'm willing to learn from you, you're willing to understand and kind of think about what I'm saying. Not even learn from me, but consider the thought. Again, I stand by it. The idea of compulsory voting, I don't care where they do it. It should never land on the shores where we believe in true democracy.
Yeah, it feels awkward to me. But if there was evidence, that's what I'm saying. And what if there was evidence that it directly led to better outcomes for the communities it was attached to, then I'm like, what are we arguing about? You know,
Yep.
because I don't know that principle is worth a degraded quality of life. Like preserving that principle. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but that evidence doesn't exist. We don't know. So it doesn't make any sense to like fight about it, I don't think.
Tay, Juanae is waiting for us. What are you doing?
I apologize. What up, Juanae? Please, everybody, give her as much space as possible.
Yeah.
She's dope. She's
We're
super
about
dope.
to have a conversation. Juanae, if you see Teo, please give him. Well, no, that's fine. Never mind. Tay, have a great weekend.
Take care, y'all. See you soon.
Teo Dill, folks. So happy to have Teo back. Don't forget, election night coverage led by Teo. We've got Dr. Ewart Brown, the Honorable Patricia Gordon Pamplin, and John Barrett joining us next Tuesday. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be back in 3 minutes, 13 seconds with independent candidate. We will extend this conversation as long as she's able to be with us. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talk and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
The One Bermuda Alliance is committed to securing Bermuda's future. We believe the island can return to the prosperous place it once was for everyone. The only way to do this is through fiscal responsibility and creating opportunities for residents to thrive. We envision a Bermuda where our young people are valued and will want to build their futures. We are a team of diverse Bermudians who bring a depth of expertise across industries. We have what it takes to turn Bermuda around. Vote OBA on February 18th.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Join us, the host of Bermuda's only dedicated talk show for live election night coverage on February 18th. We'll be joined in studio by former Premier of Bermuda, Dr. Ewart Brown, as well as former members of Parliament Patricia Gordon Pamplin and John Barrett, with political commentary from human rights activist Taj Donville Otterbridge. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. across the Daily Hour social media platforms and Channel 82. Election night coverage is proudly brought to you by Medical House and the North Shore Medical and Aesthetic Center.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Simone Vaughn. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's bring a very special guest into his house. She's running up in constituency 31. She has made a name for herself despite her legacy, the legacy of her brother in politics. But I'm excited to welcome, and I want to give you all to give a warm TDH welcome to candidate for constituency 31, Juanae Crockwell. Oops. There we go. All right. Whew. There we go. Gee, I can't have the police song with you coming on. Good morning. Happy Friday. How are you?
Good morning. I am good. I was just backstage enjoying your conversation.
Yeah, you see how Teo treats us? Yeah.
But once I knew that Teo was doing the news, I knew it was going to be a longer news segment because, I know Teo.
Such a guy. Yeah. Well, you know what? I got to ask you before we jump into anything. I'm not sure if you celebrate Valentine's or not, but, do you want to send anyone some love today?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, I don't really celebrate it like that, but I'll definitely send some love to my Valentine, my partner, Marcus, and my kids, Skylar, Micah, and Michael. I'm so blessed. I have lots of love all around me.
She's brought love this morning, folks. So now we got the love involved. Now I got to ask you, because we just got in a fight. I don't know if you saw it, but we got in a fight just now. Yeah, we got in a fight. And Teo and Teray and Simone and Kristen and all these, they were talking about compulsory voting. What are your thoughts? Do you think voting should be compulsory? Because someone in the audience, Teresa Marie, actually said, I think registering to vote should be compulsory. Now, for that, I would actually agree, because when you're pretty much mandating that, it's more than just a vote that you're keeping track of. But what are your thoughts about maybe compulsory voting?
Well, I actually agree with you, Jamal. I don't think voting should be compulsory. That doesn't mean that I am encouraging people not to vote. I strongly believe that we should vote, but there are lots of reasons why someone wouldn't vote. It's not just simply because they don't want to vote. It could be a religious background. I've knocked on doors and people have said, hey, due to my religious beliefs, I don't vote, but I wish you the best. And so we have to respect that, right? I do like the idea of registering to vote being compulsory, because that would help us with data, right? We need that data to know how many people are living in the various constituencies, the age bracket, all that kind of stuff. So maybe a balance of having people register for data collection purposes and statistics, but I do not think that it was the intent when my ancestors were fighting for my right to vote. I don't think it was the intent to force me to vote. It was to give me a voice should I choose to use it.
Indeed. And I'm glad you said it in that manner, because I don't think we're dismissing the work. And folks, I'm going to champion this, not just because she's here, because I told you before, Simone Vaughn did an excellent story in Alabama. Just tell them real quickly, Simone, about the documentary you did, because I think when they would appreciate this as well.
Yes, so it was about the first 6 African-American women to vote in Alabama, and kind of their journey, what they had to do, how they had to, fight for this right to vote. And that's what it is. It's a right. It's a choice that people were being disenfranchised. They could not vote for various reasons, people trying to stop them. So documenting their journey and, how important it was to them, and showing that, to other people, so they can know their history and know what people did, so they can have the choice to do or not to do, what we need to do.
Check it out, folks. I'll tell Simone, make it available. We can share it.
Yes, I want to watch it.
No, and in saying that, just transition into our conversation with Nate. Again, thank you for doing this. Thank you for your patience this morning as well.
No problem.
But just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
So my background is a bit varied. I mean, usually when I introduce myself, I always start off with the fact that I'm a mom. I don't know why moms do this, but I'm a mom, and that's such a huge part of my life. So I have 3 sons, Skylar, Micah, and Michael. I'm a caregiver to my senior mother. And when my father was living, I was a caregiver to him. But then professionally, I'm an advocate. And so currently I work at the Women's Resource Center as the executive director. But for the last 10 years, I've been deeply involved in advocacy across the spectrum of issues, whether that be organizing, demonstrations to show dissatisfaction in certain government or legislative decisions, whether that be simply raising awareness through my social media presence on issues that are impacting the everyday Bermudian, or in the past, in previous elections, I would kind of do a bit of political commentary just to make sure that the information is available and digestible for my generation. And so I'm an advocate at heart. I believe that my calling is to serve. And so I serve in various different capacities. That could look like being the PTA president, sitting on the Bermuda Arts Council, or leading the Women's Resource Center. Whatever I do, I just seek to serve and make my community better.
It was a time when I used to say to people all the time that it was never really politicians who got things done. There were activists and advocates.
Yes.
And I think that's what I'm really getting from the likes of yourself and Tiffany Painter and Quentin Sherlock, even Mardil. I'm getting that we finally have gotten back to a space where it's not these career politicians. I mean, there was a time when the kind of caliber of candidate that we got into politics beyond the advocate and activist, it was a lawyer, it was a doctor.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've been screaming for. So, and again, as I said before you came on, though we've never had a conversation, I've seen you in the community, I've seen you speaking up. And so I'm encouraged by, the work that so many of you have done prior to this, because it lets me know it's not people that are just showing up looking for something to do. These are people who have already been doing the work, and now you've decided to throw your head in. So that brings us to, what inspired you to take that step, to throw your name in the political ring, and how important is your brother's legacy, the late Juanae Crockwell, to what you decided to do?
Yeah, so this question, I've been asked this question so much over the last month. And I wanted to get involved in 2015, I wanted to get involved in politics. Full transparency, I had joined the OBA when it was formed. My brother was a founding member, and so I had joined the OBA. I wanted to get involved, but it just wasn't meshing, with me. And my brother and I, we actually butt heads pretty hard over that, and it all came to a head with the Pathways to Status protest. And many people will recall in one of his speeches in the House of Assembly, he referenced that I was up there protesting every day. And so through that experience, I said, you know what, I need to pause, because I don't want to get involved in politics under any party and then find my values compromised. And also my children were much younger. So I just said, now's not the time. And then, of course, Sean resigned as a cabinet minister and then later resigned as a member of the One Bermuda Alliance and sat in the House as an independent until his passing. And for me, that was so powerful, because what I learned from my brother, from his political experience, is that he really wanted to create change within our system. And he felt that by getting involved, within the system that he wanted to change, or within the party, maybe it could create change. And that's why he left the UBP and formed the BDA, and then merged the UBP and the BDA with the OBA, because what he was really trying to do was find a way to shift the energy of our political landscape. And unfortunately, he wasn't successful. And so having that experience, having that front row seat to what he went through, because people don't know what he went through behind the scenes. They just see, what was in the newspaper and all of that. But as his sister, I saw the other side of things. And so as time went on and I started to think about getting involved in politics again, I knew that it could never be under a party. I just knew that it couldn't. And many years ago, in 2015, I met with Stuart Hayward. He was still living at that time, and he's the only independent to get elected under our current parliamentary system in 1989. And so I sought him out and I met with him and I said, listen, I want to get involved in politics. I want to do it as an independent. How did you win? And it's so interesting what he told me. He said, do you really want to be a politician or do you want to be an advocate? And I had to stop and think. And he says, if you want to make a difference, there's so many ways to do that outside of the legislature. And he encouraged me to take the things that I'm passionate about and advocate for them. And if it led me to Parliament, let it lead me there. But he said, don't let Parliament be your goal, let change be your goal. And that stayed with me. And so, you know, I continued my advocacy work. But the state of our political landscape right now is such where we really need change. And it's not going to come from our current status quo. It's not going to come from the leadership of our current parties, because they don't want the same change that we want. And it's two different changes. Some people just want to change in government. They don't like the current government. They're not happy with the current government and they want a change in government. And I get that. I want the same thing. And then there are other people who actually want to see a systemic change. And so those of us who want to see a systemic change, we kind of have to break outside of the current system to influence that change. And so that was a very long-winded answer, but I
appreciate it, because I think from that, I'm sorry, Simone, I know you got a question, but I just think I understand something so much about you just from that. And the fact that this wasn't like out of the blue decision, like this was years, like the fact that you just mentioned, you talked to the only person in this system who actually won, and they told you what I preach to people is, yo, you can make a difference outside of politics. You be an advocate. I love that story, and I really hope that people understand it. These are the people I'm talking about when I say not a typical politician. I'm not here. I can't vote for Juanae. I'm not telling you what. I don't need to be.
I just want to say, where you see him, Jamal?
You were talking about Jamal's. You know, you already called me what you do. But go ahead, Simone. I'm sorry. You got a question.
No, it's okay. Well, I think it's already partially answered, but to take it a step further, you know, as independent and being formerly, you know, party affiliated, how do you see yourself navigating Bermuda's political landscape differently than, you know, party affiliates?
So I'm actually really excited about what independent representation can look like. And so for me, I'm running in C31. I live in C31. I think that's important. I think the fact that I live where I'm running is a benefit. It's an advantage, because not only do I know the people, but I know the issues in our neighborhood. And I think that that's something that independent candidates can bring if we run where we live. It brings an added layer of connection to the community. And what I really want to do is have my representation be influenced from the ground up. So should I be elected, I wouldn't, have any party loyalty. My loyalty would be to my constituents. And so in order to represent them adequately, I need to know what they think about the things that we're going to be debating, the policies, the legislation. And so my intention is to establish a C31 advisory council or committee. As I've been canvassing, we have medical professionals, real estate professionals, former educators, we have developers, we have every expertise that we need within constituency 31. And so I can draw on all of that expertise, all of that experience, all of that knowledge, and then use that to guide how I show up in Parliament. And I actually think that will be revolutionary for our system, because right now that doesn't happen. And I say this respectfully. Yes, we have amazing politicians who have really connected with their communities, but is that connection actually influencing legislation? That's my question. I intend, and I've been sharing this in my town halls, on the doorsteps, in my one-on-ones with constituents, I intend, and I've already begun the process, to establish a community newsletter. And I will be sending out correspondence to advise what we're going to be discussing in Parliament, what bills are scheduled for debate, so that they can provide feedback. And, I don't know, I've always lived in C31, so this has never happened in my constituency before. I've never had my representatives say, what do you think about this proposed legislation? So I'm going to assume and it's an assumption that it doesn't happen anywhere else. That's what I bring. I think that's what independent candidates can bring. We can create a whole new way of doing government if the people want that. And I know not every person wants to be involved at that level, right? But for those that do, they should have access to their representative and they should have access to the information. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about. It's no reason why we vote and then we don't see our candidate or our representative. We don't have any interaction. And, you know, that's it until the next few years.
Not to belittle anything you're saying, but, and I just want to go, you know, Therese Hall says, Juanae, that is an excellent suggestion. And we've got Ellen Kate Horton, Juanae, you are awesome, girl. Go get that seat. You're more than worthy. And this is not to belittle, but what you're saying isn't rocket science. Like, it's something that
it's so simple.
Fascinating. I'm like, man, she's doing what people want. She's trying to give them I don't know. Maybe I don't.
Thank you for saying that, Jamal, honestly, because I have been so frustrated with the narrative about independent candidates being this horrible thing. And I'm just like, how? You know, it's really not rocket science. It's community-driven leadership. It's community-driven governance. You know, and I don't want to go down that road. You know, I studied history in college. I did my dissertation on the origin of government, and then at the master's level, I studied community development. And so my educational background is all about how we develop our community within the community. You know, and that's what I'm passionate about. Leadership is supposed to be a reflection of the community.
Correct.
But what we have now is that our community is a reflection of our leadership. And we have to ask ourselves, what is our community saying? What is the state of our community saying about the quality of our leadership?
Indeed.
Yeah. So what have you been hearing, like, on the doorstep, you know, talking to constituents? You know, what are their concerns that you think you can tackle?
So on the doorsteps, you know, of course, we have all the same national concerns. And so I won't spend too much time talking about that. But the roads are a huge issue for constituency 31. There are areas of our roads that are not safe for pedestrians, young children who catch the bus up in Granaway Heights. There's no crosswalk. So that's quite dangerous. There's areas where there isn't proper drainage. So when it rains, you have people standing on walls when they're at the bus stop. Like, it's drama up in C31. And what I do know is that I have very active constituents. They will call their representative. And so they have told me, listen, I've been calling successive representatives. You know, someone even told me, listen, I called your brother about this, you know, because he was the representative for C31 as well. And so these issues they're not new. The constituents have been asking for certain things, as simple as a mirror at the bottom of the hill of Granaway Heights, and those things haven't been done. And so that's their concern. Their concern is like, hey, we elected you to represent us, and you're not even acting on these small things, right? But in addition to that, everyone is concerned about the cost of living. There isn't a house that is not impacted by the cost of living. And so people want to know, how are we going to progress in this area? And also, people are concerned about education. That's a recurring theme. People, like myself, don't even know where their child is going to go in September, right? And so that's a huge issue, not just for parents, but for people who just care about the future of our country, because education is literally one of the essential components to our future.
Right. So we talked a little bit about Stuart Hayward, and he's been the only successful candidate since 1989. Why do you believe you can change that and be the next independent in the seat?
I believe I can change that for a couple reasons. So one, I've been doing the work. and of course I say this with humility, but my track record speaks for itself. People know the quality of work that I do, and people know that I am a voice for the voiceless. I am not afraid to say what needs to be said. And so I think that is an advantage, especially, as an independent candidate. Other party affiliated candidates might not be able to do that. Also, I live in this area, and I keep talking about that, but I really think that's important. And then finally, for me, this is a long term, like I'm in this for the long haul. This isn't like Jamal mentioned, this wasn't like a quick, oh yeah, I'm fed up with the government, I'm gonna run as an independent. I have been deliberating this for a long time, researching, would this work? Yes, we know that an independent can get elected, but can a group of independents get elected and work? So I've been researching this. This is not a knee-jerk reaction, and this is about systemic change. And so I'm here for this election. I'm here for the next election. And should I be elected, I'm going to be here for as long as the constituents of Southampton West Central will have me. And so I think that I bring a level of stability and a commitment to long-term change.
What do you think? You mentioned cost of living, education on a national level, but where do you believe the PLP went wrong in governing Bermuda? And if successful as an independent candidate, what do you believe you can do in your capacity to fix things?
So I believe not just the PLP, but the OBA as well, they have gone wrong when it came to transparency. I work in nonprofit, and so everything that I do, every dollar that we receive, we have to justify where it came from, what it's going towards, and we have to justify the data for our decision making behind the programs and services that we provide. And the government no government has offered us that same level of transparency relating to why and how they came to these decisions. And that has to do with our system. They don't have to offer us any transparency. They don't have to. What are we going to do? We're going to protest. What are we going to do? But with independent representatives, there isn't a party to fall under or to be, buffered by. If the people are not happy with our representation, they can absolutely just vote us out at the next election. They can call me up and say, hey, this is not what I voted for you to do. And I think that one piece, that transparency piece, connects to so many of our issues. There has been fiscal mismanagement, which is directly connected to our cost of living and our increasing debt. There has been lack of transparency regarding the process in our education reform. We've even had instances where the minister has been heard to say we're not giving them the data because we don't want them to challenge it. And that's a problem for me. That is a problem for me, and that is a problem for many of the residents in this country because you're representing us. How dare you not justify why you're doing what you're doing?
I agree. I think transparency is, Teo asked earlier regarding something that Justin Matthias said yesterday. I think transparency would actually bring us closer to resolutions than people think. It will give us a lot of the answers. It's like sales, right? The whole concept of sales is to provide all the answers before the person has the objections, right? And I think if we did politics like that, the country might actually be in a better place. But I'm glad you started off by saying this is not just the PLP. This is governments. This is the OBA. It's EBP. This is we're trying to get to a space that many in our lives have never experienced, a transparent government that engages us where we want to be engaged. Now, there are people who say, oh, well, you can listen to the House. And look, let's be very clear. I'm going to read a comment. Rhonda Johnson, she says, I support to teach people what's available opposed to reinventing the wheel. I don't want my representatives spoon feeding me. The order information about the House Assembly is online. First, while I appreciate what she's saying, everybody doesn't have that time, number one.
Absolutely.
Number two, as a person who religiously used to listen to the House of Assembly, it's not good on my ears. It's like children, like it's not. And so respectfully, while I appreciate what she's saying, don't allow your representatives to be lazy on you because information's right there. So thank you for what you're saying, and I hope you'll be able to keep up. But we do have some questions from the audience.
Can I just quickly
go ahead.
Let's address that one point. Yes, the information is accessible, but like Jamal said, not everyone has the time. But also, the missing piece is the communication between the constituent and the representative. The constituents can go online and look at whatever they want to look at, but is there a vehicle in place where they can communicate how they feel about that to their representative and have assurance that that is going to be taken into consideration when their representative goes to Parliament? And also, regarding the quality of the debate in the House, that has declined significantly. And when you have such a huge majority, 29-7, really what are they debating? The legislation is going to get passed. What are they debating?
Exactly. And I agree with Teray here as well. You know, the HOA is an airbleed to listen to. Juanae's suggestion may increase quality of debate. And I think I agree, Teray. Excellent response. Again, folks, I want to know what's going on in my country, and luckily I may have the time to do, listen to a lot of stuff, but Teray, that's a perfect explanation. It's an airbleed. It's tough. It's tough to listen to. But getting back to the audience, we've got Charles H. Jefferson II asks, if elected, will Ms. Crockwell have to keep her role with the Women's Resource Center? I want to make sure the community doesn't lose her in one area of service and gain her in another. Interesting.
Excellent question. So, no, I will not have to resign from my role at the Women's Resource Center. Of course, in my decision making, I did approach my board. We are governed by a board. And so I will continue to serve at the Women's Resource Center. We're a nonprofit, so we're not associated with the government. And at this juncture, I don't have the intention to lead a ministry, so maybe later. But as of right now, I am very committed to the Women's Resource Center.
All righty. Kia Renee BDA, she says, how long did it take you to learn and understand the workings of politics, and was it difficult to learn? And what is your advice to those who are interested in a similar path you have taken politically?
I love that question. Well, for me, just full disclosure, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I like this stuff anyway. So it wasn't like a laborious thing to learn about. But I grew up with these conversations happening all around me, and I think that made a difference. My dad was very politically astute, I guess. He supported the UBP and my mom supported the PLP. So as a little girl, I would hear these conversations. My daddy always had on the talk shows, always listened to the House of Assembly. So I kind of grew up with that. And then, of course, with someone like my brother being in politics, I wanted to learn. I wanted to understand how it worked. But, as far as how long it takes, it wouldn't take very long at all. There are actually some good videos out. I do remember Lawrence Scott. He's a member of parliament for the PLP. I can't remember what constituency he's in. But at one point he did some videos that broke down the parliamentary system. I don't know if they're still available and accessible, but they were actually really good. And this is going back several years ago. It really broke down how it all works. And so I would encourage anybody to just do a little bit of research. All the information is easily accessible. But if you are interested in getting involved, my main suggestion is to know your why. Because in just this, 1 month since I announced, tomorrow will be 1 month since I've announced, I have had to ground myself in my why several times, and so before taking that step, ground yourself in why you're doing it and what are the things that you want to achieve as a result. I know exactly what I want to achieve through my political journey. So before getting involved, this isn't just a job, this is service. And so know your why and know what you want to achieve through your service.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Michael Daniels, not quite sure I understand this question, but he says, as a surrogate, do you see the designation as being a two-way street in respect to communication?
I am so unsure because I'm not a surrogate, so he can't be talking to me right now. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he writes in riddles a lot in the audience. I honestly don't understand, and I'm not saying it to be disrespectful, but clarity is helpful to engage in. effectively.
Right.
Renee Simmons is asking, if you're elected, would you research and or support change in our constitution, or even how do you feel about independence?
Okay. Absolutely. I do believe that we need some constitutional change, especially if we're going to change our parliamentary system, that, we would have to change our constitution for long-term systemic change. How do I feel about independence? So my first natural response is I would love for Bermuda to be independent. As a lover of this country, I would love that. However, I'm going to be really honest and say that, one, I need to do more research, and I would need to have confidence that our economy and our social structure will not collapse as a result of independence. So the short answer is yes, I support it. However, it needs to be done correctly at the right time, and it needs to be able to benefit the people.
Thank you for that. Charles H. Jeffers is second. He's asking, I asked this question in Ms. Crockwell's town hall, but if elected as an independent, should she decide to join a party, will she go back to the electorate to get their approval by resigning?
Well, thank you, Mr. Jeffers. And just like I said in the town hall, I have no intention of doing that, because what I'm working towards is systemic change, and so I would love to see a day where we do not have political parties. So that would just fundamentally undermine what I'm seeking to do. But if by some crazy freak of nature, I need to join a political party, I actually don't like when members of parliament resign from their party. Especially if they're going to cross the floor. And so putting that back on me as an independent is the same principle, right? I can't sit here and criticize the two-party system and then go join on one. And so if I was to do that, I think that my constituents deserve to decide whether they want me to represent them under that party. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I know it's never going to happen. So it's really hard for me to think in this hypothetical way. Right. But if that was something I was considering, I think the best thing to do would be wait until, that parliamentary session is over and another election is called, and then run again under a party. And that's just my personal thoughts. People are going to elect me as an independent. That's what they want. They don't just want Juanae. They want Juanae as an independent. And so I would need to respect that.
And that brings the question, because I believe it might have been in the One Bermuda Alliance platform leading up to the 2012 election, about the right to recall. And I think that would be perfect. Well, what are your thoughts on the right to recall?
Absolutely. Please. Yes. The right to recall is so important. And that would strengthen our democracy so much. And that would also provide like an extra layer of checks and balances for voters, right? As we know right now, we're going to vote on February 18th, and the representative could do whatever they want after that. Really, they could be a great representative or not. And there isn't anything constitutionally that the electorate can do about that. They have to wait until the next election. Yeah. And so I absolutely would support the right to recall.
All righty. They appreciate your answers, Kia Vedi, Renee BBA. So they appreciate your answer. Renee Simmons is great response. I welcome the fact that you support change in our constitution as well as your position on independence. Renee, you kind of answered this in terms of when you told us who you were, but if you're unsuccessful at the polls, how do you intend to stay engaged politically?
So I intend to stay engaged by continuing to canvass my area and continuing to represent my area. It might not be at the legislature, but there's so many ways to get involved. In my canvassing, I've had the pleasure of chatting with members of the Southampton Parish Council, which I would love to be involved in. And I'm going to be a voice. I'm going to continue to be a voice. I just think that's actually part of who I am. And the blessing about showing up as yourself authentically is it really doesn't matter what exactly you're doing. Your purpose is within you. And so you bring that to everything that you do. So I hope that I am successful. But as I've been telling all my constituents on the doorsteps, no matter what happens on February 18th, you have my contact information. please contact me. I'm going to continue to pop by because this is about building relationships and community. And I know that systemic change takes time. So, I will not be disheartened if I am unsuccessful in this election, and I will run in the next one as an independent.
All righty. And you mentioned your late father as well as your late brother. What would you think they would be saying to you right now?
Ooh, you're trying to make me cry on the daily hour. I imagine that my brother, I know what my brother would say, because before he passed, he actually did tell me, he said he hopes that I continue in my political activism. And he actually said, I hope that you do run as an independent, because we've had candid conversations about that. And I think that if he was here, he would be one of my biggest cheerleaders, as I was his. I wish he was here, because there's some things I wish I could ask him about and get his perspective on, And then my dad, I think my dad would be really proud. I mean, he was always really proud of all his children, no matter what. But what I think he would be most proud of is that I'm showing up and giving my best. Growing up, he always said that all he wanted from me was my best. And if I gave my best, that would be enough for him. And he hoped that it would be enough for me. And so that stayed with me. And so I show up and I give my best. And I think that wherever they are, they're proud.
Indeed. Thank you for that. And if this were your final opportunity, because as I've just read through the comments, we've got Polly Rich says, I just love Miss Crockwell, wish she was in the constituency. But then we have Charles H. Jackson II. He says, I can vote for Juanae. No one's been stopping your town halls, right? But if this was the final opportunity to speak to those who actually have the opportunity to vote for Juanae Crockwell in C31, what would you say to them?
I would say that you deserve active leadership. You deserve engaged leadership. You deserve to be represented by somebody who understands your everyday struggles, lives your everyday struggles, and has the courage to advocate for a better Bermuda that's going to serve us all. And I truly hope that as voters, you have the vision, the same vision that I have, to be able to really make and create systemic change for the future of our country.
Thank you. Where can people go to learn more about you and your plans for Bermuda?
So you can go to my website, www.crockwell31.com, or you can follow me on social media, Juanae Crockwell, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Sometimes I use Threads. And of course, I'm super accessible, so all my contact information is right on my website. But if you want to email me, just my name, JuanaeCrockwell@gmail.com.
All right, Juanae Crockwell, C31. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. This
Nice having you.
Yeah, all the best, Juanae. I'm looking forward to speaking with you after this experience.
Yes.
I enjoy you. I really do. And I'm not saying that as bias, but you're a great conversation, not just because, we're talking about, because of the work that you've done and looks like that you'll continue to do. So all the best to you, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And great work, you guys. The work you're doing is important.
Appreciate you. Juanae Crockwell, folks, if you appreciated the conversation with her, please do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Juanae said something just now. Oh, she has an app, Charles said. She has an app. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. She has an app. Look at that. Well, I want to say this. She just explained why I could never get in politics. I don't want people having all that access to me. She said, you get me on this and that. Folks, I don't have the capacity for people more than my colleagues and family to have access to me. But nah, I appreciate her. And folks, break. When we come back, because you all have been so great, we're going to do a hashtag giveaway. Hashtag. Oh, Charles is joking. She doesn't have an app. She says she doesn't have that. All right, stick with us. We'll do a hashtag giveaway when we come back. Somebody's going to get lucky and get a giveaway. So give us about 3 minutes, 1 second. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Stick with us.
The Mailboxes team aren't just employees of Bermuda's Best Shipping Company. They're also your neighbors, and neighbors help each other.
Where my childhood was found.
Join us, the host of Bermuda's only dedicated talk show for live election night coverage on February 18th. We'll be joined in studio by former Premier of Bermuda, Dr. Ewart Brown, as well as former members of Parliament Patricia Gordon Pamplin and John Barrett, with political commentary from human rights activist Taj Donville Otterbridge. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. across the Daily Hour social media platforms and Channel 82. Election night coverage is proudly brought to you by Medical House and the North Shore Medical and Aesthetic Center.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Hey, buddy. Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lois Brown Evans. Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda trivia.
Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game, fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia, all volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
All righty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Juanae Crockwell for stopping by. Really, really appreciate all the candidates who have trusted our platform to engage our lively audience. We appreciate you, audience, for engaging them. And if you haven't already, please make sure you give us a like, a love, a follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Make sure as many people as you know have access to these important community conversations. All right, it's daily playtime.
Let's play.
Where's the daily play? Okay, here it is. All right, it's a things you should know, audience. Before we do the hashtag giveaway, things you should know. So I wouldn't know the answer because I'm just not that person. But anyway, here's the question. Mm-hmm. How many pieces does each player have at the start of a chess game?
I don't want to say the wrong answer.
Why?
I'm going to just say 10.
Nope, not 10. It's not 20. I guess everyone's Googling. It's not 20. The question is, how many pieces does each player have at the start of a chess game?
Is it 15?
You're close. It's not 15. You're close. Not 12. Nope.
16?
Not 15. Not 14.
17?
What'd you say, Samantha?
17?
Before that?
16?
Yes, 16.
Oh.
16.
Okay. Well, I'm a checkers player, not a chess player. So
you just took it out of my mouth because I was gonna say I stick to checkers, folks. I stick to checkers. 16.
I admire chess players, though. I really do.
All right. So how many did we start with in checkers?
However many you want to.
Who's counting, right? Like I just played a game. Like who's counting?
Yeah.
No, that's a fun question. I've never played chess, folks. I know I don't come across as that person. You're right. Yeah, I don't play chess, but 16 pieces. We learn something new every day. As Samantha said earlier, we'll learn, right? You know what? We're gonna do a hashtag giveaway. So you all can do hashtag the Daily Hour, right? We'll do hashtag Daily Hour. And audience, if you've, I think NTS won it last week, we'll get back to you. But you can hashtag the Daily Hour, then we'll do the little spin-a-rooney thing. But in the meantime, Simone and I are going to give our final thoughts. So, Simone, final thoughts on romantic things to do in Bermuda, and then the conversation with Juanae. Your final thoughts.
Okay, well, I feel like Bermuda is a beautiful island. You can find anything to do and, make it more romantic if it's walking on the beach, or anything. And I enjoyed hearing everybody's responses, all the love in the air. And, with Juanae, it was so refreshing to hear her speak. And, you could tell that she was really passionate about, what she talked about and issues she's hearing from her constituents and how she can help and make an impact. So having her on and, really getting in depth, even with her background, with her brother and father and, being able to talk to people, it was really nice to hear. And, I hope the viewers got something as I did.
Yeah. I would say as far as the romantic, some of the most romantic things to do in Bermuda, I echo what you just said. Bermuda's a beautiful island. And despite how we feel about the politics or our government, that should not take away from the beauty that is the island that we all love. There are so many different things we can do in Bermuda as far as, romance and the like. I mean, you cannot go a lot of places and have a spa treatment in a cave.
I know that's right.
Some places, someone said fishing off the rocks. You need a license to do that in some places. You don't need one in Bermuda. Some of the freedoms we enjoy to do romantic things. Being on our railway trails, we have a freedom to go and say, let's go for a walk, sweetheart or honey. And guess what? You don't need permission to go on the property at a certain time. Some places, they're only open to experience nature certain times of the day or certain seasons. So I think we have a lot to take advantage of, a lot to respect and appreciate about the things that we can engage and show love to our loved ones in Bermuda. As far as the conversation with Juanae Crockwell, again, haven't seen her work just from afar. I'm not surprised with what we got in the conversation. I appreciate anyone at this point, and I was not always in this place, who puts their name out there, who would love to, I guess, participate in the political process. It's not easy. It's not easy asking people to vote for you. It's not easy selling yourself to people as to why you believe you'll be a great option for them. But it becomes easier when you're an advocate and an activist, when you do work that they're already benefiting from and they're familiar with. I think for that, many of the independents may actually have some success. All right. Hashtag giveaway. Let's see. Let's put it up on the screen. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be this week? There's that drum roll. Oh, right, here we go. Drum roll, please, they say. Polly Rich. Congratulations, Polly Rich. You are today's winner. Good stuff. So, Polly Rich, send an email. You know what? Send it to Simone at BermudaCommunications.com. Send it to Simone, and you can CC engage at thedailyhour.com, but you can send it over to us. Collect your winnings. NTS, if no one got back to you, send it to Simone at BermudaCommunications.com. Her name's spelled as it is on the screen. But I want to say, we've got to have daily inspiration, but I want to share something publicly with you all. So, as you know, since the election was announced on January 7th or 8th, we've had many political candidates on this show, OBA, FDM, and independent candidates. You notice that we have not had a Bermuda Progressive Labour Party candidate on the show. The Bermuda Progressive Labour Party did reach out to us this week to come on the show on Monday to speak to the platform. Unfortunately, we already had that time allotted and booked, which we book far out. Sometimes we book 2 months out. But we were willing to make a compromise to allow the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party. We were going to do a double episode for you, the audience. Unfortunately, they declined to do that. I share this because Juanae mentioned it, Teo mentioned it, Simone mentioned it, and I mentioned it about transparency. I think it's important for you, the audience, to know that this platform is open to everyone. I'm not here to tell anyone who to vote for, who not to vote for. I've given a lot of props to many people in all political parties or groups or as independents. I think we have a fantastic group of people who are running. I think I speak for many when I think of what Tiffany Painter said. We're looking for the best 36. Whoever that 36 is, that's what I think the country needs so that we can grow and get better as a government for the people and the island. After this is all said and done, there will be more conversations. But it's important for the public, the electorate, to not let up. To not say, the election's done, I'm out. But I just thought it was important for us to be clear with you all that everyone has had the opportunity to come on this platform. Whether or not that cost people votes who chose not to, that's on you. That's on you. I've got a daily inspiration for you all. And the daily inspiration is, we've got Thomas Sowell. Says, quote, competition does a much more effective job than government at protecting consumers, end quote. Think about it, folks. All right, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve the community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. She's Simone Vaughn. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great weekend. We are out. Peace.